Right now, Goku is on the verge of unlocking a whole new power, the likes of which has never been seen before. What's about to happen to Goku is something not even the angels are prepared for. This latest arc of Dragon Ball Super has, for a lack of better words, been a controlled mess. It has somewhat been all over the place, shifting the spotlight from character to character, only to inevitably find its way back to Goku. That being said, despite all these shifts, the central focus of the arc has remained the very same, despite each protagonist serving to tackle a different aspect of it. And this central topic I'm referring to is a recognition of the past. In the sense of Granolah, the character is a survivor of genocide, much like the other two, but more than anything else, is angry in regards to it. Furthermore, seeking revenge against those responsible, the core of which was once Frieza, and by extension, his former Saiyan lackeys who had executed such atrocities. Yet on account of the revelation that the Heaters were largely to blame for such unfortunate events, and furthermore, that a Saiyan is the reason he survived, the target of his revenge has changed, with Frieza hardly being a thought at all. And this situation for Granolah is a rather fascinating thing, as despite suffering a similar fate at the hands of Frieza directly, Vegeta did not harbor thoughts of revenge nearly on par with those of Granolah. He certainly bore resentment towards Frieza and his forces, but he knew his place well enough to not possess such a dangerous outlook. And at that, Vegeta in this arc has dealt with the past inversely by way of acceptance. When beginning his training under Lord Beerus, Vegeta initially regarded his people's way of life as sinful, and that it was their destiny to be wiped out as a result. Vegeta has long since atoned for his own wrongdoing, but as the Prince of all Saiyans, he felt the need to also accept the guilt of all Saiyans. Yet for the sake of moving on, he needed to eliminate that guilt and find acceptance. Which then finally brings us to Goku. Up until just recently, the past was of no consequence and or relevance to him, and this is precisely why he was largely cast to the wayside for a great deal of this arc prior. Goku has already been down for the count twice in this arc, therefore allowing Vegeta, someone who could actually comprehend Granolah's grief and resentment, all while being punished for the prior actions of his people, to have his moment. Goku had no stakes in the past and only knew of his Saiyan lineage by way of others telling him as much. But with the mention of Goku's father Bardock, who he had never heard of before, things began to gradually become more and more personal, all of which culminated into an event decades in the making: Goku's recollection of his Saiyan origins, the likes of which evoked a particularly interesting display from the character visually. Now, just before this, Goku exchanged some words with his angelic master, Whis. Truthfully, Goku's grasp over Ultra Instinct has certainly come a very long way, the extent of which we do actually have a whole video dedicated to already, so check that out for more knowledge on that front. But yeah, thanks to his training and experiences, Goku has come a long way. However, admittedly, Goku's greatest struggle when it comes to maintaining the power is the fundamental requirement of a tranquil heart. Now, for the likes of the angels, as the progenitors of the technique, fundamentally differ from all beings that may seek to emulate their capabilities, which is to say that by going about things as if he were an angel, Goku would never truly make proper use of the technique. And so, for the sake of truly going beyond, for advancement, it is imperative that he creates his very own unique version of Ultra Instinct. But being unsure of how to go about doing such a thing, Whis' advice to Goku would be to listen to the voice within himself, furthermore questioning, deep down, what is Goku really? Which brings up yet another great question. How do you get this far into the video without subscribing to the channel? Now, for someone like Goku that has pretty much always worn his heart on his sleeves, this question from Whis was a perplexing one. However, upon hearing the voice of his late father Bardock by way of his abandoned scouters' audio recordings urging someone to stay alive, Goku would begin to recall his Saiyan origins. The instinctual planetary invader disposition of Kakarot had long since been lost on account of his early head injury. Yet after all this time, Goku is finally whole. Now, why would simply recalling such a thing make this much of a difference? Well, as GOKU'S put it, Goku cannot comprehend who he really is, and as a result, would never be able to defeat him. Which is to say that by knowing such a thing, the possibility of victory then arises for him. Now, there are of course certain parallels between Goku and the likes of Superman. Frankly, Clark Kent would never be Superman as we know him if he did not also embrace his identity as a Kryptonian Kal-El. And it would seem the same is now true for Goku, accepting his Saiyan lineage as Kakarot. Now, to begin understanding what Goku will gain from this, we must first consider what he lacked, which conveniently enough is provided to us by way of GOKU'S yet again. During their bout, he points out a lack of fire in Goku's eyes. He furthermore spoke of Goku's father Bardock and the overwhelming ferocity of his resolve, the likes of which he saw none of himself in Goku, which is really interesting considering we have seen Goku push beyond his limitations time and time again for the sake of achieving victory and such. And so although it may be narratively written like this in canon, I truly have to wonder how such a ferocity will be properly exemplified by this character without just having him be a scarless Bardock. Whatever the case may be, Ultra Instinct will most definitely be a factor at play. It's not all too different to surmise that this recollection of Goku's will be a catalyst to him discovering himself at his core to not only be a Saiyan, but the son of Bardock. With the beginning of his time on the planet Cereal to follow his training alongside Whis, Goku demonstrated his newfound use of Super Saiyan in tandem with Ultra Instinct. And in certain respects, this combination would be seen as beneficial in momentary bursts. After all, Goku's original issue with Ultra Instinct back when it was in its Saiyan form was a lack of offensive power. Goku certainly possesses this in his perfected Ultra Instinct form, but since he cannot manage to maintain it for too long, he is simply left to work with what he has available. Now that being said, the simultaneous use of Super Saiyan aggression and Ultra Instinct neutrality is like the mixture of oil and water. And so to use them together in such a way was most definitely a Herculean undertaking, yet even still may very well be on the right track. Now admittedly, one might argue that the bestowal of a brand new transformation onto Goku in this particular arc would serve to undermine that of Vegeta's in the way of Ultra Ego. And if that is a belief you possess, we can't fault you because you are absolutely correct. But as unfortunate as it may be, Vegeta will always play second fiddle to Goku. If the decades of this franchise's history did not make that clear enough, the events of this arc have absolutely solidified it. The prospect of Dragon Ball Super being different from its predecessor series in this regard is a fallacy that I truly tried to hold on to until the bitter end. It is a woefully disappointing truth, but it is a truth nevertheless, and one which may assist us in breaking down what is to come. Vegeta has and will continue to perpetually lag behind Goku to varying degrees. Vegeta acquiring his Ultra Ego transformation during this arc placed him somewhat on par with Goku. Granted, Goku has had plenty more time to master his transformation, but regardless, they now share a stage of power. And again, as unfortunate as it may be, that cannot be the case for very long at all. As we continue to see throughout virtually the entirety of the Dragon Ball Super story, even in the event of Vegeta making major strides in the progression of his capabilities, Goku will always manage to somehow upstage him. And truly, for as amazing as Mastered Ultra Instinct may be, presently, it is far too much of a stopping point for Goku's progression. In the hypothetical event that there were to be no biological hurdle in place, and Goku could stand to make use of the power just as any angel could, then this silver-haired form of his would be it. The end-all be-all. Goku's final transformation, which for the monetary mecca that is the Dragon Ball franchise would be a major fumble. Every transformation Goku has ever had has been a step ahead of the next. Such is the case even for Mastered Ultra Instinct by way of Ultra Instinct Sign being prior, for instance. And so I feel it is safe to presume that this new frontier of power for Goku may be akin to what Super Saiyan Blue is to Super Saiyan God. Truly, Dragon Ball Super has largely made canonizing extra content its mission. This has been seen in the case of films by way of characters like Broly, and also in regards to certain contents from Dragon Ball GT. For example, Mewtwo, Universe 3's God of Destruction, pilots a robot named Moscow, which bears somewhat of a resemblance to the machine mutant Lude from GT, described in that series to be, quote, a god of destruction. Now obviously, when most people think of Dragon Ball GT, one thing in particular most likely comes to mind, that of Super Saiyan 4. GT or not, this transformation has a special place in the hearts of many, myself included. Now, in regards to its origin series, acquiring said power may have been pretty silly in hindsight, but regardless, it embraced a degree of never before seen Saiyan savagery that for me, at least at times, made Goku feel like a whole different character entirely. Super Saiyan 4, although unlikely to literally make its way into Dragon Ball Super on account of transformations transcending beyond the bounds of mere Super Saiyan ascensions of power, is very much still present in pretty much all modern Dragon Ball video and trading card games, and is especially featured in the Dragon Ball Heroes anime. Frankly, if nothing else makes its way into Dragon Ball Super from Dragon Ball GT, at least in a modernized state, I am willing to bet that Super Saiyan 4 will be the one. And I would imagine they have just been waiting to bust this one out in some way, shape, or form. And it would seem as though by tapping into his lost Saiyan heritage, that opportunity may very well have appeared. The Oracle Fish failed to recognize Gas despite its previous heralding of the new strongest in the universe. And with Goku fulfilling the prerequisite for victory according to Gas's prior sentiments, it would seem he will soon become this very figure. Goku will become the strongest mortal in Universe 7, which therefore very much invites the prospect of advancing beyond Universe 7 for even greater competition, which is definitely exciting, and something I and plenty of others have been looking forward to for years now. And lest we forget, the man behind Dragon Ball Super is the very same mind behind the unofficial Dragon Ball AF spin-off, what is at this point a classic in its own right as far as many Dragon Ball enthusiasts are concerned. And what is that series especially known for? Super Saiyan 5. And just looking at it, it is essentially a cross between Super Saiyan 4 and what we presently know to be the silver-haired visage of Ultra Instinct. So yeah, prepare yourselves. As always, I'm Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.